Dear participants, welcome to the webinar hosted by Sai University School of Law. We have Dr. Anand Shrivas. It's a pleasure to welcome Dr. Anand, who brings over 10 years of teaching experience in corporate law, including securities, corporate finance, and insolvency law. He holds a LLM from HNLU Raipur and has taught at leading institutions like JNLU, NLU Assam, and NLU Mumbai. Dr. Anand played a key advisory role in establishing BITS Law School Mumbai and has designed curricula for several top law programs. He currently teaches at Sai University School of Law, where he also leads the internship committee and serves as the board of studies. We are delighted to have him with us today. Welcome, Dr. Anand. Before we dive in, quick pointers. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box. It will be answered at the end of the session. The session is also recorded. You'll receive the recording link after some 4 to 5 working days. And also, along with this webinar, we'll have a participation certificate provided. You'll have complete attendance throughout the session. Once again, thank you for being here. Let's get started. Over to you, sir.
A warm welcome to all of you to today's session on friendly to hostile takeover. It is a beginner's guide because we have students who are aspiring for their first year law, and therefore this session is targeted mainly to give you a overview of what takeover law is and how do you understand friendly and hostile takeovers in India, and what are the other kinds of mergers and acquisitions that exist in India. Apart from that, the session delves into really important factors. Number one, in India, uh, especially lawyers are sometimes criticized for not having good commercial wisdom or not having good commercial sense. When you go into a law firm, a student is taught well when it comes to legal principles, law, but they are not that well when it comes to understanding what business is and how business is run. Because of which, important uh, meetings or important dealings get hampered, um, and not having a good sense of commercials can hamper a deal also. So, therefore, a good lawyer is somebody who not only understands the law well, but also understands the commercials well in the transaction. And that is what the focus of today's lecture is, or session is, that I would like to give you a understanding as to why certain businesses function the way they function, or understanding why a company acquires another company, or why a company merges with another company, right? I i hope you understand what takeover means. Takeover is nothing but when a company is being acquired and certain percentage of the share capital is taken up by the company. So we are not only looking at takeover because the word takeover that I have used is in loose term. It includes all M&A activities, that is mergers and acquisitions activities also. This particular course, M&A course, I teach at Sai University in the third year and fourth year as an elective, alongside another course of mine, which is called Securities Law. So this course is third to fourth year, that time when you actually getting mature when it comes to law. So therefore, I'm just giving the basics in this particular lecture. So let's get started. So the content of this lecture is that, number one, I'm going to tell you as to what motivations for M&A are, that is, what is the motivation for takeover, types of M&A, that is, types of mergers and acquisitions, steps in how do you deal, how do you make a deal, M&A deal, right? What documentations are required, what basic things are required. and what are the laws that become applicable. The laws are plethora that becomes applicable, but we look at only selective laws that become applicable. And as a lawyer, what all do you need, or what all skills do you need to become a practicing M&A lawyer, right? That is the major goal. Now, when I looked at this, I thought that, I'll make this very interactive, but now I have only option to allow one of you to sort of interact. So anybody can tell me what this picture is all about. Can raise their hand. Or if you are conversant with picture, what is this talking? Anybody?
Uh, Participants, you can post your answers in the Q&A section,
Yeah.
or you can raise
Or
your hand. We'll
you
allow.
can raise your hand. I will allow you accordingly. So I am assuming that nobody knows about what the picture is about. So we all know recently a movie came in, which was Deadpool versus Wolverine, right? A movie of Marvel Universe. Now, in Marvel Universe, we have Deadpool. What Deadpool is doing in Marvel Universe? That is something that is a question why we should be asking. The ask, if you look at the movie properly, um, Deadpool, specifically the main protagonist, says that I am Marvel Jesus in the trailer. And when he says I am Marvel Jesus, basically he is making cracking a joke on Marvel, and he's saying that now he's part of Marvels. Now, why has he become part of Marvel? Because Deadpool supposed to be X-Men. Wolverine is supposed to be an X-Men. Why they have become Marvel, right? So the reason behind this is only when you start reading on business, right? This is the reason. The reason is that recently Disney, who owns all the Marvel universe, acquired Fox. Now Fox, that means Disney took over or taken over Fox, right? Now when it took over Fox, Fox was owned by Fox is basically um, owning X-Men, Fantastic Four. Then you have other couple of other characters also, but mainly X-Men was the main character, and because of which Disney wanted to acquire Fox. That was the main reason. Second reason for Disney to acquire or take over uh, Fox was that they were running a streaming platform, same like Netflix, called Hulu. Now, Hulu was a huge streaming platform providing variety of content in India and abroad. So, because of which, what you see is that this is one of the reason why you see that okay, Disney has acquired Fox, but ultimate reason was to acquire the Fox X-Men, which was Wolverine and Deadpool. Now, because of these major intellectual property acquisitions, um, Disney's profitability has over a period of time improved. Now, the takeover was structured in a way which was called spin-off plus merger. Now, what is a spin-off? Spin-off is when one company is there and it owns two businesses. Okay? And what you do is you break one business out of the other company. So when you break the other business out of the one company and you form a new company for this business, right? So it's like a spin-off. You are demerging a company. So if you look at this, Fox had many sports channels also. You know that Fox owns sports channels and news channels also. So Fox sports channels and news channels that Disney did not want to buy. And therefore, Disney only bought the business that they were interested in, which was X-Men, Avatar, Simpsons, Fantastic Four, and Hulu. That is the streaming business and the films business and theme parks. These were the business that Disney was interested in. Disney was not interested in sports or broadcasting or what we call sports broadcasting or news channels, and therefore Fox as a business was demerged into two. One was business which was X-Men, Avatar, Simpsons, Fantastic Four, right? Characters like that, television parks, theme parks, all of that. So this was the one part of the business. The other part of the business was news channel and sports channel. So sports channel and news channel were spun off, and this was acquired, which was the main that I talked about, right? And because of which, what you see is the reason for a takeover, right? It is very, very clear that why this takeover happened. Number two, that is the second takeover that I'm going to talk about is, and this we will be very much able to relate with Reliance acquisition of Disney. Reliance acquiring Disney. Now, as far as you know, and we know that recently Hotstar has become Geo Hotstar, right? You must have seen Hotstar has become Geo Hotstar. Now, why Hotstar has become Geo Hotstar? The reason is that Geo Reliance acquired Hotstar, and it was structured in a really, really unique way, just which generally does not happen in India, which was consolidation of dominance in the Indian market, right? So the Reliance wanted to consolidate their position alongside Geo Cinema. So they were running Geo Cinema. We all know that they hosted a free IPL also in 2023. Do you know 2023 was a really bad year for Hotstar? It was really bad year for Hotstar. And the reason why it was bad year for Hotstar was that they did not get rights to stream IPL. And because of which Reliance Jio got the streaming rights. Whereas Hotstar was charging a fees for showing IPL. Reliance Jio took a bold step and broadcasted the entire IPL for free of cost to whole of India. Because of which, a lot of people that were customers or audiences or viewers of Hotstar, they quickly shifted themselves to Jio Cinema. And because of which, Jio Cinema lost its main power in India. So, Hotstar lost its main power in India. So it was a survival mode that was required. So because of which now what Hotstar was looking was, how can I survive in the market? When you have Jio Cinema, you have Netflix, you have Amazon Prime, you have Sony Live, you have so many streaming platforms already in India. And on top of it, you have regional streaming platforms also. How is it possible that the Disney Hotstar can survive? And the only method they found out was to sell the company by keeping certain rights with themselves. So Reliance took over Hotstar, that is Disney Hotstar, because it wanted to increase the dominance in the market, and because of which what you see is there is cost efficiency, that is for both Reliance as well as for Disney Hotstar. So it was a win-win situation because now Hotstar is surviving. Hotstar is not dead. And if you see my slide on the top, it is written Reliance plus Disney, JV plus asset merger. Now, JV is called joint venture. It's basically a contract between two parties where they come together and they decide that they will run this project for certain period of time or till the project is complete. So if you see, JV plus asset merger equals to a new company. That is what I have written in the slide. So they formed a new company, which is basically Disney plus Geo Hotstar, right? And that is why you have an app called Geo Hotstar now. Now, if you see the slide in front of you, you will see some of the takeovers that are interesting in recent times that have taken place or in the past decade that have taken place. One of which I would like to talk about in detail is Adani's hostile takeover of NDTV. We know NDTV was recently taken over, and NDTV was supposed to be a very left oriented news channel, and it gave a lot of importance to free speech. So the company called Adani's company, Adani's, they acquired NDTV recently. And one of the reason for acquisition of NDTV by Gautam Adani was entering the media market and changing narratives about himself and the company or the group that he's running about through this news channel, right? So recently this has happened and this was a hostile takeover. Now, hostile takeover is when you say friendly and hostile, what do you mean by that? So when one company buys another company without that company's consent, that is hostile. When a company buys another company with consent, then that is friendly. Okay. Next one I wanted to talk about is Thomas Cook and Sterling Holidays. All of us must have heard about Thomas Cook and Sterling Holidays. Thomas Cook is a well-known travel company. Sterling Holidays is a well-known vacation ownership company, and they run their uh, business quite well in India. And Thomas Cook acquired Sterling Holidays because of only one specific reason. And that specific reason was that there was, I mean, there were other reasons also, but one of the pertinent reason was that Thomas Cook had a really big managing professional called Mr. Ramanathan. And Mr. Ramanathan was very good at running Sterling Holidays, vacation ownership business. But because of some fight with the owners, Mr. Ramanathan shifted to Sterling Holidays. Now, after the fight with the owners, he was not okay going back to Thomas Cook. At any cost, he will not go. It was an ego fight. And he said he will not go at any cost. So what Thomas Cook did, because they realized how important Mr. Ramanathan was after his exit, they had to acquire Sterling Holidays to keep Mr. Ramanathan back into the company. So, so there can be multiple or multitudes of reasons for company to be taken over or company to be bought, either hostile or friendly. Sometimes reasons can be also slowdown of the market. We have seen PVR and Inox. We all know nobody was going to PVR and Inox when COVID impacted us in 2020. First wave and second wave, PVR and Inox was completely shut. And that is where the OTTs have taken over the screens. So in order to survive for both of them, the only method was to merge themselves, merge with each other. And therefore now PVR and Inox is one and the same. You also have another acquisitions called Tata Air India. We all know Air India was suffering more than 65,000 rupees, 65,000 rupees crores, 65,000 crore rupees in debt, and this is huge debt. So when they were reeling in such a amount of debt, obviously it was not possible. It was a loss-making enterprise, and government of India thought it is better to give it, right, and that is where you have Air India now being acquired by Tatas. Now let me talk about little more about Adani and NDTV to you. So we all know that Adani and NDTV was owned by Pranoy Roy and Radhika Roy. They were the NDTV was a brainchild of them, and they were the ones who started NDTV. They started NDTV with a very small investment, but later on they realized that if they were to expand, they'll need more loan. So they took a 400 crore loan from a company called VCPL. Now, VCPL was a subsidiary of a Reliance enterprise. While the loan was given, Reliance made a deal, said that we are giving you 400 crore, but after a certain point in time, we'll convert loan into shares. That means I'll convert loan into ownership of the company, and we'll become owner of 30% of the company. And Radhika Roy, Pranay Roy, because they were in financial, they were struggling financially, they agreed. So in 2022, Adani Group acquired VCPL from Reliance. And by acquiring VCPL from Reliance, they acquired 30% of rights over NDTV, and they converted the debt into shares. There was no requirement of promoter approval. This was a hostile acquisition that was done. Now, please understand that there was no legal way that Radhika Roy or Pranoy Roy had to kind of stop the takeover in terms of its taking over, or in terms of buying. And NDTV had been financially stressed for years, and this deal was the best deal that they could get, right? So for Adani, it Adani wanted to, as I said earlier, it wanted to change the narratives, influence the narrative, expand its business into information-based businesses. And this is the deal. If you see the deal was an acquisition deal of 30% stake in NDTV via a company called RRPR, which was the main NDTV's promoter company, which was there. And the acquisition triggered an open offer of an additional 26% stake in NDTV. Now, when you acquire control in another company, right, you make an open offer. Now, can anyone tell me what open offer is? Have you heard about open offer before? Anybody who wants to raise their hands and say? Okay. So open offer, I understand that most of you are 12 students, so it's tough to sort of understand what open offer is. But open offer is when one company acquires another company, right? So one company is acquiring another company. And when the company is acquiring another company, new players come into the market. It's like you want to go, say, if you want to go from here by flight to Goa, and the pilot says that and the experienced pilot says that he is ill and he will not be able to fly. And somebody else who's a rookie pilot who does not have any experience comes as a pilot. Obviously, you will not go with such kind of a rookie pilot or unexperienced pilot, right? So in business also that happens. Somebody takes over the another company and you do not align yourself or you do not see yourself with the vision of the person that has come into the power. You will say, boss, I don't want to continue with you, I want an exit. And that is where open offer is given, where huge company is acquiring another company, that is the listed company. Then the law says that those who are already there as existing shareholders, they should be given an open offer. Now if you see my slide, you will see that in the point number 2 I am referring to open offer being 26%. Now this I discuss in my course at Sai University in very detail. I take minimum 2 to 3 classes just to explain what open offer is. So even if you have not understood what open offer is, please try to, after we are done with the session, please try to Google what open offer is and try to understand, because it takes time for you to understand open offer and takeovers. It's not easy to understand at the first go. Now, because of the paucity of time, I will not be able to explain more. But if you have questions, I will be able to answer them. Right. Now, Radhika Roy and Pranav Roy, where they they did not want their company to go from their hands. They wanted NDTV to be in their hands all the time. But the acquisition was so well done. Adani was so good with the acquisition that they did not even know when they acquired VCPL, which was the main entity which gave them loan. And by acquiring VCPL, they directly acquired their company, which was NDTV. So it was a really well thought move. Okay, so this is one example I wanted to give you, so you can understand why takeovers are happening. We talked about Fox, Disney. We talked about Disney and Geo. We talked about Air India and Tata. We talked about what we call as Sterling Holidays and Thomas Cook. All of these are reasons why certain companies enter into what we call as M&A or takeovers. As I said, as lawyers, what is important is not what the law is. Obviously, you have to know what the law is. But a skill of a good lawyer is somebody who know why the law exists at first place. And he understands why is an house of law more, not more than, I would say, equally as important as what of law. So somebody who understands why and how of law and what of law is somebody who's appreciated pretty well. So that is the reason why I'm discussing all of this. The next a deal that I'm going to discuss with you is called L&T and Mindtree. Now, all of you might have heard about CCD, right? CCD, you must have heard of CCD, where you get coffee, right? All these shops. You ask a 90s kid, most of you might be Gen Zs. You ask 90s kid, a 90s kid will tell you as to what CCD is and what it stands for. Cafe Coffee Day was a huge hangout place for all youngsters and high school students after their schools and college during those times. Even now it is, but at that time there was a huge um, craze about Cafe Coffee Day. Now, why I discuss Cafe Coffee Day right now with you is that this person called VG Siddhartha on the screen that you see is had acquired Coffee Day, right? CCD. and he was the main founder of CCD, and he changed the entire coffee culture in India. VG Siddhartha was in the news also recently. Um, I think during the time of COVID, VG Siddhartha is no more in the world now. He jumped off a Bandra Worli sea link in Bombay. He jumped into the sea and he passed away. He committed suicide. The reason for him to commit suicide, Pradeep Kumar has a question. Yes, Pradeep Kumar. Pradeep, you have a question?
Hello.
Yes, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Is it audible, sir?
Yes, yes.
Sir, he did not die from Bandra ceiling, sir.
Ah,
He died in Karnataka, sir. There is a river, Kaveri River.
oh, oh, okay, okay.
So he jumped from that thing, sir, into
Are you
the river.
are you sure?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Maybe then my bad then, my bad. But so Vijay Siddhartha was basically somebody who was the founder of Cafe Coffee Day, and as you know that he was running this enterprise which was too much into debt. There was too much debt into this company, and side by side he also had stake in Mindtree. So Mindtree is a company which is founded by uh, some IT professionals, around 9 IT professionals. They come together. Then they sort of uh, had this um, IT company. Now around 9 professionals, they started the company called Mindtree. Now Mindtree is supposed to be one of the really good companies that you see in today's time, um, which is well known for its IT services. So L&T was eyeing Mindtree, and the L&T found out that Vijay Siddhartha is struggling with debt. Since Vijay Siddhartha is struggling in debt, so L&T found out that okay, this is a good time to buy, and say they bought 20% from L&T, and other founders of L&T were not happy about Vijay Siddhartha selling 20% stake in Mindtree. Eventually, Mindtree tried also a lot that it will not be bought. The reason why, that there was a cultural mismatch between how L&T functioned and how Mindtree functioned. And what you see is now Mindtree had a very modern culture in the company, and they were more flexible when it comes to employees. So employees also had some problems with the merger, with the acquisition. But eventually, L&T was successful because they acquired 20% stake in the company, thereby acquiring almost controlling stake in the company by making an open offer. So, so this is also, if you see, this is also a very good deal. Tata Air India, I have already kind of discussed. The only point that I want to discuss is TCI, that is the Competition Commission of India. When acquisitions take place or mergers take place, the Competition Commission of India decides whether to grant the approval to the merger or not to grant the approval to the merger. And when they feel that competition is going to affect really badly, right? Or one party is going to dominate the market a lot, and it has a chance of abusing the position, then in such situations, CCI may say, okay, merger and acquisitions cannot be done. It's a competition law regulatory body in India. Competition law is again taught in your fourth and final year, so you need not be worried. I'm just giving you a brief understanding. So, so Tata Air India um, CCI was saying that you might have a dominant position, Tata, because you already run your own airline, right? And now you have Air India also, right? So there can be um, uh, conflict of interest in such situations, and there can be abuse of dominant positions. But then CCI also observed that there is players like Indigo and SpiceJet into the market, and therefore it allowed the deal to go forward. The next deal that I'm going to talk about is Idea Vodafone. We all know that in the last decade, how we use technology, how we use phone have changed a lot. And the last decade was the main reason for it. And we all know that we have gone from 2 GB to 3 GB, 2G to 3G, and now we have 4G, right? And we have 5G. So because of spectrum also, we have kind of changed. So internet has changed our lives. One of the reason in India this has happened is you see Reliance Jio coming in as the disruptor, the major disruptor of the market. If you remember, um, last decade it launched um, Reliance Jio, and because of Reliance Jio and the products, mainly were free of cost being sold. SIM cards were free of cost. Plans obviously were in the beginning they were also free of cost, and later on they were charged. So what you see is that this led to certain companies becoming financially unsustainable, like what we have Idea and Vodafone, right? And because of which Idea and Vodafone, because of Reliance Jio's pressure, Idea and Vodafone has come together, and they have uh, merged together, right? They have done the acquisition. We all heard stories about Elon Musk in recent times. Elon Musk is also credited for victory of Trump, because it is it is the narrative that is there in the media right now, that Elon Musk kind of manipulated uh, Twitter in such a way that it can benefit Donald Trump. But these are all news reports that we have, or we have speculations in the market. The main reason why Elon Musk bought Twitter is obviously as an ancillary to all the businesses that he run, he'll get the data access of huge population. Number two, Musk wanted to reform Twitter because he wanted to aim for free speech. Now, when he says free speech, he is speaking about not only free speech that we understand in literal terms, but also giving free speech those who promote hate among people, right? So that was also one of the hidden agenda of Elon Musk while Elon Musk was acquiring Twitter. And Jack Dorsey was the main owner of Twitter, obviously sold Twitter for money. But apart from money, he felt that Elon Musk will be the right person or right inheritance for acquisitions. Now, the next deal that I want to discuss with you is Kotak Mahindra's expansion in South India. We all know Kotak Mahindra is run by Uday Kotak and Anand Mahindra, right? Both are the main uh, people that are behind uh, Kotak Mahindra. And Kotak Mahindra happens to be, main promoter happens to be Uday Kotak, who owns around 20-21% of Kotak Mahindra as of now. Now, Kotak Mahindra had no expansion, nothing in South India. So they acquired in ING Vysya Bank from from South India, which had a huge branch network, which had huge product network. We also had a huge selling network, right? So cross selling network. If some of you must have watched Steve Jobs documentary or Steve Jobs movie, or must have read the book on Steve Jobs, we all know that he started Apple and he was thrown out of Apple by his own friends or by his own business partners. And he started a company called Next Computers. And when he left and Apple was not doing well, Apple approached Steve Jobs again, and Steve Jobs was rehired, and the Next was acquired. So this is another uh, story about M&A. So apart from the motivations that I have given you, there are some other motivations that exist at today's time. One is market expansion, synergies. I have talked about Vodafone and Idea. Diversification, right? ITC acquiring Sunrise Foods. We all know ITC was in tobacco only, but now they have their business in packet spices. Reliance acquiring Rediseas. Reliance also acquired Hamleys recently. We all know there is a toy shop called Hamleys. Almost in every um town, you will see nowadays that there is Hamleys, at least in metros, that you will see. And these huge toy shops was basically acquired by Reliance. Recently, Zomato also acquired its competitor called Uber Eats. Now, let me tell you, there is a concept called killer acquisition or killer takeover. Now, what is killer takeover or killer acquisition? Killer acquisition or takeover is a concept recently started by all tech companies or tech driven companies. What they do is these big five or big six companies like Google, Alphabet, Meta, right? Apple, Microsoft, all these big companies, uh, they are targeting smaller companies, but those who have come out with innovative patents, or they are running on innovative patents, or they are running on an innovative technology, and they see that there is a future, that these companies can become big tech companies later on in future. So they end their businesses immediately and they buy the companies. That is why they're called killer, because they are killing the competition at the beginning only. They are not letting the competition go up. What we call is vertical integration. Sometimes what happens is you do a integration with supply chain. So you have manufacturing and you have supply chain. So you would do a vertical um, merger or vertical takeover. So good example of it is Adani acquiring Ambuja and ACC Cements. Recently, if you know, Byju's acquired White Hat Junior. There used to be ads about White Hat Junior. Some of you must have even got phone calls by White Hat Junior when you were in schools. I don't know, but some of my relatives faced huge uh, uh, spam calls from White Hat Juniors with respect to their program, right? But the point I'm making is Byju's acquired White Hat, and the reason for acquiring White Hat Junior was to provide coding talent and give education instructions to them. Now, revenue growth is another way. Tata Consumer acquiring Tata Consumer acquiring Bisleri, and Flipkart acquiring Mentra, right? So types of mergers and acquisitions or type of takeover. One is horizontal. So one manufacturing company merging or acquiring another manufacturing. It's a horizontal merger or horizontal takeover, right? Or one retail company is acquiring another retail company, horizontal, right? But if one company is manufacturing and another is into supply chain and they have been acquired, then it is a vertical merger, right? And when two businesses are not related to each other, then in those situations, they are conglomerate mergers. Now, this is also very interesting. Steps into M&A deal. Now, as a lawyer, what are the things that you do as a M&A lawyer, right? What are the things that you enter into? I'm not going to discuss this in detail because we don't have time. And two, that this is specifically for final year students, because when we are talking about NDAs, other things, we are talking about drafting. So in brief, I'll tell you preliminary discussions and what we call as kickoff meeting, right? So what happens if two parties were to enter into an M&A or takeover, they will come together and they will start a kickoff meeting. And once they have a kickoff meeting, they will discuss, they will bring the terms and um, have brief discussion on the terms. Then they will create something called term sheet. Term sheet is basically clauses or broader clauses, right? What is the consideration that you want to give? What is the promise that the party is making, right? So all of this basically contract law, right? So basically two parties deciding as to what the other party is giving to the other party, right? So that is what it is, main rights and duties and obligations. And then something called due diligence. Now, when you buy a phone or when you buy a laptop, you do a due diligence also, right? Or when you buy any item, you go and find out as to whether the particular item is good or bad, right? And you ask people also around, or you do your own level research. So due diligence is that only. Due diligence is much more closer look into the company where you look at legal, financial, regulatory problems before they are being acquired. As a first year lawyer or as an intern, you're supposed to do due diligences a lot. In fact, when I was an intern, the first job I had got was due diligence. I still remember doing due diligence, where you have to find out whether company details we have pull out. You have to find out whether the company is owning the land that it is claiming to own, whether the company is having the share capital it is claiming to have, whether the company is having the financials it is claiming to have, whether the company is having the legal no disputes which it is claiming to have. So you have to go and find out in the courts whether there are any legal disputes with regard to the company or not, right? So there are many facets to due diligence. There are many kinds of due diligence also. Then deal structuring, where when you decide as to whether you will do a takeover, merger, acquisition, lump sale, share swap. All of these might sound Greek and Latin to you right now, but believe me, by third or fourth year, you will understand all these terms. Then comes drafting of the agreements such as share purchase agreements, shareholders agreements, right? Share subscription agreements, and then regulatory approvals, right? In specifically, my specialization is in SEBI. I look at SEBI a lot, and Competition Commission of India, uh, Reserve Bank of India, NCLT, Stock Exchange. All of these approvals are needed when a M&A or a takeover is done, right? Then last is obviously signing and condition precedent and closing. So this is the entire M&A deal. Um, so if you have any question, you can ask me because we are uh, almost there. I mean, there are a lot of slides even after this, but we are limited with time also. We have a time constraint. So the only thing that I will show you is now is what are the law that becomes applicable. So this is, you can say this is the last slide that becomes applicable. Company law, it is taught in your third year. Securities law, third and fourth year. Competition law, third and fourth year. Exchange control law, again third and fourth year. Tax law, third and fourth year. Stamp duty law, this is not taught as a subject. You have to learn along with property law, which is in second year. And then sectoral laws are there, right? Sectoral means whichever sector, if the merger or acquisition is in telecom sector, then the TRI regulation will apply. If the merger or acquisition is in real estate sector, then RERA will apply. If the merger and acquisition is in aviation sector, then DGCA will apply. So all of these are Director General of Civil Aviation, that is DGC. So all of these are regulations or law that becomes applicable. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask me. I think I am done with the session.
So thank you so much. It was so much information, in a 1.5 time, and that too, case study based learning. It was very awesome. And now, like Sir said, we are open to questions. If you have any questions, you can post it in Q&A. Probably we'll read it out to you. Or if you wanted to ask them personally, you can raise your hand. We'll enable you to talk. Anyone?
You can
Gopinath?
ask me anything. If you want to know about law school or want to talk about law education also, I can try to answer. Not necessarily I'll answer, but I can make an attempt to answer.
So anyone interested to ask questions? So Gopinath, Mahalakshmi, Manasa, Nithila, Pradeep, any questions?
Anything about education also you can ask me, that you are going through. Any LLM candidate here? Anybody who's willing to do his or her LLM?
No, no, sir. I think predominantly it's UG.
It's
Yeah,
UG.
yeah,
Okay.
surely.
Okay.
So, sir, meanwhile, personally for me also, it was a wonderful session. So I thought
Thank
just quick have I thought I'll have few questions. So on the topic,
Yes.
yeah. So let's say for example, if a company targets a company, right?
Hmm.
How can they legally resist a hostile takeover attempt? Something like that.
Very, very nice question.
Yeah.
Very, very good question. So there are ways in which you can legally resist. In India, first of all, hostile takeovers are rare. Okay. In India, there is the Adani and NDTV and L&T and Mindtree that I've told you is maybe two of handful of mergers or acquisitions which are hostile. So two of five, you can say. so so you can
Right.
imagine in India, you don't have hostile takeovers that generally happens. Even if it takes place, then you have different methods. So in India, one method that is used is called white knight,
Okay.
where one party calls a friend and says that instead of the competitor acquiring my company, you acquire my company for time being, and then later on sell it back to me. So this is one
Right.
example. Another example is sometimes when the company starts acquiring, then the other company, the target company, buys back its own shares, starts buying back its own shares in bulk. So when it starts buying back its own shares, there are not many shares in the market that are left.
Yeah.
So since there are not many shares in the market, then the hostile takeover becomes redundant. Then there is a concept called staggered board. In India, this is not possible. This is possible in only in US. In staggered board is where you have board of directors, where board of directors um, are staggered. That means they are divided in time frame. So they change in 1 year, 2 year, or 3 years. So nobody changes at one time. So because of which taking control of the company immediately is not possible. So hostile takeovers are becomes difficult if there is a staggered board. But Apart from this, there is a concept called uh, poison pill. Now, poison pill is also very interesting. Now, it's like why I say this is important. It's called poison pill. So, poison pill is when you take a pill which is
Right.
of poison, right? So, what do you
Right.
mean by so for a company, what will be a poison pill? For a company, poison pill would be when a company shows itself unattractive. I am not attractive,
Right.
right? I am ugly. I don't want to be acquired.
Right.
So that is when company does poison pill. Now they can do it in multiple ways. They can show it as that they are going through losses. They can show it that that they have certain legal disputes. One or two they will bring up, and they will make sure that they are unattractive.
Right.
So there are many other ways through which you can. I think these are some four or five that I have mentioned.
Great, sir. Thank you so much. And one last question, since I think young lawyers are here. So let's say, for example, if a takeover happens, right? So as a lawyer or a consultant lawyer, however it is, what is the key role of them? Like, how do they play it? So is it predominantly they play through legal frameworks or regulatory frameworks, or what is exact role of a lawyer in it of a takeover?
Uh, Thank you for a really good question. So there are plethora of ways to answer this question. Okay, and the role also. So the lawyer performs multitudes of role in an M&A deal. So depends upon what kind of lawyer you want to be, right? So if you are doing takeover on M&As, basically you can go into a firm, law firm, your own law firm you can establish, or you can work initially in some other law firm,
Right.
and um, and you can advise clients as to how the law operates in M&A field, right? Because they would want to know as to what the law is. It is very, very in India also. If you say you ask a businessman will not take a step unless it's legal, completely legal, right? I mean, like they will not be interested, right? So they are very much interested into legality of things that they are doing. So advising a client as to legality of what they are doing is something that can be done. That is number one. Number two, as an M&A lawyer, you draft agreements. You have share subscription agreement, shareholders agreement, you have investment agreements, your ESOP agreements. What you have is share purchase agreements. These are some of the examples that I'm giving. There are plenty of other things. Apart from this, you can also get into as a due diligence lawyer. Due diligence lawyer is basically somebody who will talk about uh, if a M&A is done, what are the things that you should be aware about particular company, right? A company which has a tax dispute, will you acquire that company? Obviously, you will not. I'm not saying you will not acquire, but you will look at two times at least
Yeah.
to see, right, if there is a
Correct.
tax dispute. So,
Yeah.
as a due diligence lawyer, you help companies do due diligence, right? So this is one aspect of it. Another aspect of it is litigation. As a litigating lawyer, also you can also be there. So, say for example, M&A is never an activity without a legal trouble. There will always be legal trouble. There is some or the other. So the dispute will definitely go to courts or NCLT, that is National Company Law Tribunal, or the dispute will go to CCI or it will go to SEBI,
Right.
depending upon what the dispute is about, right? So based upon the dispute, the you can also be a really good M&A lawyer, litigating lawyer, and it is a really well-paying uh, profession. I mean, some of the best M&A lawyers in the country are they have a net worth of more than 1,000 crores. So it's not a not a
Yeah.
small thing. Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. And again, we have a question from the audience as well. So, do they cover subjects related to corporate law in the 5-year BLB course at SAIU?
Yes, I just talked about the courses. So if you see some of the courses I have listed here, On corporate law, we have a specific uh, elective, that is a specialization, not elective, a full specialization where we give you 8 to 9 subjects which are of corporate law. So some of the subjects that I have talked about is company law, securities law, exchange control law, competition law, M&A law that I have talked about recently, that is law and M&A, right? All of these are courses that are corporate law. There are around 8 to 9 courses that are there that you can take up.
Right. Thank you, sir. I think hope sir has answered your question. So Pradeep Kumar is here.
Yes.
Yeah, Pradeep, I'll allow you to talk. You can ask your question.
Sir, any short-term course, sir?
Short-term course, we have online certificate programs that are being run, but I
Okay.
think the better person would be the admissions team to talk about it.
Okay.
Yes.
So predominantly, Pradeep, I think there are four predominant topics we are offering as an online certification programs. So probably we will send you the brochures after this call to all the registered participants, so you'll have a better understanding. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Sure. Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Is there any other question?
No, sir. No, sir.
Perfect. Thank you. Is there anyone who have questions? I think not yet. Sir, I think one last question from my end as well.
Yes.
So I think so this algorithmic trading being in the trends, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so and we see a huge fluctuality in the market. Does I'm sure that this algorithmic trading is still an amateur word for Indian market, but when it comes to internationally acclaimed, so does this have any role on this? Hostile takeover. Is there any possibility?
Yes, it does. It does have a role. Algorithmic trading, especially when you talk about algorithmic trading has high speed trading also. So high speed trading, when trading takes place, generally it is matter of seconds that we are talking about, and in
Right.
seconds companies can be acquired.
Right.
So that is the, so it has also very huge legal problems to it,
Right.
because you don't have ways to resist, because you don't have time to resist all via
Yeah.
algorithmic trading,
Yeah.
right? So
And regulations for this is still in writing, sir, or is it still under framework, or it is?
so yeah, so algorithmic trading, we have basic regulations in place, but we do not have a full-fledged law on it, as European Union has one specific law. um, US has a specific law. So, but India does not have a specific law in it. It is in the securities law is the all-encompassing law that is applicable to entire securities market.
Perfect, sir. Thank you. So, participants, I think we are almost there. So, if there are no questions, we can wind up. I know for Chennai T's today 7:30 CSK match is there, so I think probably they might be they
Yes,
might be
yes,
rushing back. So,
right. Okay.
participants, if there are no any questions, we can wind up. I think that's a no. So,
Okay.
I think let's wind up. So, thank
Yeah.
you, participants, and thank you, sir, for your time
Thank
on a
you.
Sunday evening.
Thank
So, participants, you will receive a participation certificate based on your attendance, and the recording will be live in a couple of days and will be sent to the registered email ID. And probably we'll attach our latest brochure for School of Law, so that you'll have a better understanding about all the courses which we offer. We have for UG, we offer LLM, we offer online Daksha Fellowship, which is Tech Law and Policy, and also we offer online certification programs for working professionals and for young graduates, on 4 different topics. So with that, we are winding up. If you have any queries or questions, you can write to admissions@saiuniversity.edu.in, and we will respond to you at the earliest. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.